I noticed the silence before I noticed him. It wasn't the peaceful kind you expect in a quiet neighborhood. It was the kind that felt maintained, like someone was actively keeping the noise down. No distant traffic, no dogs barking, no cicadas whining in the dark. Just a flat, padded quiet that pressed in from all sides. I had moved into the rental on Maple Ridge Drive 3 weeks after my breakup. It was small, beige, and aggressively normal. A place where nothing was supposed to happen. That was the appeal. I wanted walls that didn't ask questions. My name is Rachel Owens. I worked remotely for a data processing firm and kept irregular hours. I didn't host people. I didn't make noise. I liked knowing exactly where everything was when I went to bed. The first person to speak to me, there was my neighbor, Harold Harlan. He introduced himself while I was struggling with a ladder that wobbled every time I tried to clean the leaves out of the gutter. He was already on my lawn when I noticed him. Thin, upright posture, gray hair combed with intention. He wore khakis and a tucked-in polo, and he smelled faintly of aftershave and sawdust. "Careful," he said, voice soft. "That ladder's missing a foot." He was right. One of the rubber pads was gone. He held the ladder steady while I climbed down, then insisted on fixing it himself. I remember hesitating, glancing toward my open front door, my keys sitting in a bowl on the console just inside. "I'll be quick," he said. "I've got a spacer in my garage." I handed him my keys without thinking. It felt rude not to. He returned less than 2 minutes later. The ladder was steady. He placed my keys back into my palm carefully, like he was returning something delicate. "Quiet street," he said. "People like that around here." That was the first lie I didn't recognize. After that, he found reasons to talk to me, always practical ones. Trash day, weather alerts, the mail carrier skipping houses. He spoke softly, never lingered too long, and always stood at an angle instead of facing me head. I noticed the way his eyes tracked small details. The scuff on my shoe, the crack in my porch step. The first odd thing happened a week later. I woke up to find my kitchen sink empty and dry. I distinctly remembered leaving a mug and a plate soaking overnight. I assumed I'd washed them on autopilot. The second time, I knew better. I came home from work and found my shoes lined neatly by the door, heels aligned, toes pointing out. I never did that. I kicked them off wherever my feet stopped hurting. That night, I stood in the hallway and listened. The house made its usual sounds, pipes ticking, the soft hum of the fridge. But underneath it was something else, a careful quiet like breath being held. I began to notice patterns. The couch pillows fluffed. The bathroom mirror wiped clean of fingerprints I knew I'd left. My throw blanket folded into a tight rectangle instead of the messy knot I always left it in. It didn't feel like someone had been searching my space. It felt like someone had been maintaining it. I started locking my bedroom door at night. The third night after that, I heard the floorboard outside my door creak. Just once. Not the sharp, complaining squeak it usually made, but a soft, controlled pressure, like someone who knew exactly where to step. I didn't sleep after that. The smell came next. Old Spice, faint, powdery, mixed with something woody, sawdust, or old furniture. It lingered in the hallway in the mornings, gone by afternoon. When I mentioned it to Mr. Harlan while collecting mail, he smiled gently. "Old habits," he said. "Some scents stick to houses." That night, I bought a small indoor camera and hid it behind a row of books on the shelf facing the front door. I told myself it was paranoia. I told myself I'd delete the footage and laugh. At 2:17 a.m., my phone vibrated. The notification read, "Motion detected 3D living room." The footage started with the door unlocking from the outside. Not forced, not rushed. The handle turned slowly, deliberately, as if whoever held it wanted to feel the mechanism work. The door opened just wide enough for a body to slide through. It was him. He closed the door without sound and stood there for a long moment, listening. Then he took off his shoes and lined them up beside mine. He walked through my home like he had memorized it. He paused to straighten a picture frame, adjusted the angle of a lamp, picked up my discarded sweater and folded it neatly over the back of the chair. Then he walked down the hallway, into my bedroom. The camera couldn't see inside, but I could hear it. Fabric shifting, the faint creak of the bed. I watched him reach down and gently pull the blanket up over my shoulder. I was asleep in that footage. My chest rose and fell, my face slack with trust. He stood there for a long time, watching me breathe. Then he leaned down and whispered something I couldn't hear. I screamed awake in my hotel room. The police came within minutes. They searched the house. They questioned him. He told them he'd been asleep all night. He showed them his bed, neatly made. No signs of entry. No forced locks. They told me the camera could have glitched. That night, I didn't go home. I packed the next morning with my brother standing guard. The spare key I'd hidden beneath the flower pot was gone. In its place was a folded note. Written in careful block letters. You sleep better when things are where they belong. I moved out that week. 3 months later, in a new city, in a new apartment, I started unpacking boxes I hadn't opened yet. At the bottom of one, beneath winter clothes, I found an envelope. Inside was a photograph. It was me, sleeping, taken from inside my bedroom closet. I trusted my neighbor because my dog did. My name is Elena Cruz, and I lived in a sun-bleached duplex on the edge of Phoenix, where heat clung to everything like a second skin. The walls were thin, the air stale, and the nights so quiet you could hear people breathe through drywall, if you listened long enough. My dog, Luna, was the only reason I felt safe there. She was a rescue, part shepherd, part something sharp-eyed and nervous. She barked at delivery drivers. She barked at joggers. She barked at the wind if it touched the wrong bush. The vet once joked she'd make a better alarm system than most security companies. So when she didn't bark at him, I noticed Tyler lived on the other side of the duplex. Early 30s, clean cut, always wearing headphones even when nothing was playing. He moved carefully, like he didn't want to disturb the air. The first time Luna met him, she wagged so hard her whole body bent sideways. She pressed her nose to his hand and whined like she'd been reunited with someone she loved. That should have scared me. He laughed, crouched, and let her lick his fingers. Guess she likes me, he said. I told myself that was a good sign. The early weeks were ordinary. Polite nods in the driveway. Small talk about the heat, the AC units struggling to keep up. He mentioned he worked from home. I mentioned I worked late shifts at a medical billing office. One evening, while I fumbled with my keys, he asked if I ever needed help walking Luna. She seems high, energy, he said. I used to have a dog just like her. I said no at first. Then he showed me photos on his phone. An older shepherd mix curled on a couch, tongue out, happy. The photos felt real, lived in. I said maybe sometime. The first strange thing happened a week later. I woke up around 2 a.m. because Luna wasn't in bed. She was sitting in the hallway, facing the shared wall, tail thumping softly, not wagging wildly, just a slow, steady rhythm. Her ears were perked, eyes focused, listening. I whispered her name. She didn't move. Then I heard it. A low, almost playful whisper through the wall, muffled, gentle. Good girl. My stomach tightened. I told myself it was the television next door, a podcast, a trick of the vents. Luna wagged harder. After that, things changed slowly, quietly enough that I doubted myself. Sometimes when I came home, the house smelled faintly of cooked meat. Not burnt, not strong, just present, like someone had grilled and then aired the place out. I blamed the vents. Duplexes shared airflow. It made sense, until I realized it was always the same smell. Chicken. Luna started waiting by the vent in the hallway at night, sitting patient, tail sweeping the floor like a metronome. Once I found a small chew toy in her bed, red rubber, brand new. I hadn't bought it. I told myself I'd forgotten. Then I noticed her collar. The metal ring was adjusted tighter than I left it. When I finally let Tyler walk her, it felt harmless, logical. He was home all day. I was exhausted. She came back calmer than I'd ever seen her. Too calm. She smelled different. Not bad. Just not like my house. A faint cologne, something clean and woody. And when I unclipped her leash, I realized it wasn't mine. I asked him about it. He smiled, apologized, said his dog used to wear the same brand, and he must have grabbed the wrong one by habit. That night, Luna slept facing the wall again, wagging. The first real fear hit when I woke to the back door ajar. Not wide open, just enough to let the desert air crawl inside. Luna was sitting beside it, tail moving slowly, like she'd been waiting. I checked the lock, scratched. not forced. Tested, I barely slept after that. So I bought a camera. The second night after installing it, my phone vibrated at 2:17 a.m. Motion detected. Back door. I opened the feed from my bed. The door eased inward. A hand appeared first, slow, familiar. Tyler. He slipped inside like he belonged there. Luna trotted toward him, tail whipping. He crouched, whispered her name, and fed her something from his pocket. She rolled onto her back, belly exposed, utterly trusting. He stepped over her like she was furniture. My throat closed. He walked through my kitchen, touching things, opening drawers. He paused at my purse, rifled through it gently, almost respectfully. Then he sat on my couch, just sat, like he was waiting for me to come home. I called 911 from my bedroom closet, shaking so hard I thought I'd drop the phone. I watched him on the screen the entire time. When the police arrived, he didn't resist. He just looked confused, hurt, even. In his apartment, they found the notebook. It was labeled neatly on the front. Training log inside were entries, written in careful, looping handwriting. Week 1 responds to voice through wall. Tail movement consistent. Week 3 accepts treats through vent. No barking. Week 5 key copy successful. Dog did not react. Week 6 human trusts me. Dog trusts me more. There were photos of me taken through my windows, screenshots from the camera feed he'd somehow accessed, notes about my schedule, underlined once. In red, trust is taught. When they took him away, he asked if he could say goodbye to Luna. They said no. I moved out a month later. Luna still wakes at night sometimes, tail thumping at the wall, listening, waiting, and sometimes when the house is quiet enough, I swear I hear a whisper, soft, patient, and familiar coming through the vents.